and we're delighted to have with us today Inga Hlin Pallsdottir, the former Director of Visit Iceland and now advisor and consultant to the industry. Good morning, Inga Hlin. How are you?
Good morning, Paul. I'm very good. Thank you so much for inviting me for this talk.
Delighted to have you with us. And not only do we're delighted to see you, but yet another volcanic eruption arrives in Iceland recently. Rather stunning one, I must say. A little bit different to the one that stopped the European air travel. But recent history shows that Iceland has experienced some incredibly significant events, the economic crisis in 2008, the volcanic eruption in 2010, and of course COVID in 2020. But Iceland always seems to respond in the same constructive and productive way. Can you give us a little insight how you deal with these challenges?
I think in 2008, maybe, we were not that organized, I would say. But we had started to be more organized. And in 2010, when the volcano eruption started in April, which was just before the summer season, when everyone was kind of expecting it to be, the biggest season ever for Iceland, people just got into the mode and we started working together. And this was the first time we actually worked together under the umbrella of Inspired by Iceland. And we kept that cooperation going. We joined forces, the public-private sector. And I think that's one of the biggest parts and one of the most important things that we have done in the past is to get this cooperation going and keep it going. And I think when we started with COVID, that's also a part of it. How effectively we have been working together is a big part of how you respond. And in the past, it's been, despite COVID is so different from the crisis in the past, it's completely different for all of us. And I think many of us worry about, the knowledge drain that has been in the industry. But at the same point, I think people are still, they are meeting up, they are keeping contact, they are discussing the situation, and the government has been effective in trying to help the companies as well. So that's also the cooperation where the government and the private sector is talking to each other.
That's a very good example. I think many other countries would benefit from that type of collaboration. Is there anything in the Icelandic character that develops this, that seems to find a positive solution to crisis, to adversity?
Yeah, maybe you can say within the Icelanders, but I think in general it's the industry itself. And at times I've said that if you want to work in the industry, you have to have resilience, you have to have adaptability, and you have to have patience, and you have to have a little bit of a joy. But I think the patience in the Icelandic industry is not that much, to be totally honest. And the Icelandic character is that we are not very patient. We have a saying where we say, Þetta Reddast. And it means that it's all going to work out. And I think that's something that all of us in Iceland have as a guiding light at the moment, that this is going to reddast. And I think this is a big part of it. But historically, I think if you think about how we have been doing things in regards to crisis, I think there are 4 points that have been very much important in this, and then how we got organized is to bring something good to the world. Bring stories to the world. We've done that in the past with the Icelandic pledge. We told stories about the regions. We have asked people to tell the stories with us. We have gotten, storytellers with us in this to bring something that benefits to people in that. We even brought the shouting to the people last year. And also to create crisis groups. I think it's so important to have a crisis group with everyone where you have a discussion, you sit down and discuss the situation that is happening each time. I know it can be difficult in bigger countries, but think about it on a regional level. And also the networking. I think it's so important to have networking to keep it going, like I mentioned earlier, about people are still meeting up. They have platforms to discuss the situation and what is happening and so on, and it makes people feel more comfortable about what's happening each time.
Yeah, I think this community spirit, this Icelandic spirit that everything is done by keeping that network together, by having clusters, by having networks, by having different sort of teams of people getting together, it is very much one of your secrets. And I also noticed that incredible with the very, very last volcanic eruption that it became a bit of an amazing setup with people going down to the eruption to barbecue some hot dogs. I mean, and the way it was exposed to the world, how beautiful an eruption can be, more of a kind of attractive proposition than something to be scared of. So again, I think another learning and everybody getting together to really find a positive angle on things when there's adversity.
If I can add to this a little bit, I think one of the characteristics of the Icelanders is exactly that around the volcano eruption, because we live in an island that is shaking constantly. And before the eruption in the Reykjanes Peninsula started, we were experiencing thousands of earthquakes every day. And myself, I was almost getting seasick sitting at my table here because it was like constantly shaking, and we were getting used to it in a way. Even though it's scary at times, but it was not, we knew we were safe, and we knew we live in this island and we choose to live in this island. And when you choose to live here, you're going to expect volcanic eruption, you're going to expect earthquakes and so on. So I think that's one of the things that the Icelandic people are kind of used to. But this new volcanic eruption, I highly recommend to people to go online and see the live stream, because that's also something that, you know, we acted on immediately. It was to show it both to the world and the whole country what was happening. But this is, again, a totally different kind of eruption since in 2010, when you had explosions going on, and it was completely different and danger around it. No one is in danger now, except you have to be very careful, of course, around the eruption. But it's going to be a beautiful tourism attraction to continue, and it will be nice to see how many people will actually come to the country after COVID, and they're able to travel freely and see this kind of a new land happening there.
Absolutely, and I think the storytelling part of this is something you always come out very strongly with. When there is an event, you'll build a story and make something very attractive around it. And I remember the first volcano when it closed European airspace, the reaction about 4, 5, 6 months afterwards was, but let's go and see this. You know, you can do tours there. The community got together to devise programs, safe programs must be added, and it became a geology example for students, and as well as a fascinating place for people to visit. So I'm sure that the magic of this Icelandic tourism storytelling will continue very much in the future. And I know that you're personally involved in developing destinations in Iceland for this very future of the industry. You do see things quite positively moving forward as you're coming out of the COVID pandemic and into receiving tourists in the coming months?
I do, and I can hear from the industry that things are already picking up. We're of course in the same uncertainty as any other, but we are seeing people booking, and it's looking much brighter than it was in the beginning of the year. And I think everyone, both in the industry here in Iceland and around the world, are starting to be a little bit more optimistic about. And I think people are just like, they're so much looking forward to travel. I think all of us are kind of waiting for this. And myself, I mean, I'm waiting to go and see the world again. So we are very much looking forward to welcome people to Iceland and experience what the country has to offer.
Absolutely. I think that pent-up demand is something we all feel. We're scratching the walls every day to dig out our passports and start traveling again. But absolutely, I'm sure Iceland will be one of the first countries in Europe to receive international guests, and hope that's the beginning of a exciting recovery to Iceland. Inga Hlin, it's always delighted to speak to you and to give us a little bit of an insight into Iceland and the Icelanders and how you do things and how you deal with things. Absolutely wonderful to see you, and we'd love to talk to you again if we can soon.
Always, always. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.